Hi there, welcome to Dawn's Death to Life Parenting. Today I'm going to be talking more about jobs for kids. I alluded to this a little bit in my last video of kids solving their own problems, and this is part of that, but there's another thread here that I find very useful in parenting. So my girls are 1 and 5, and I discovered kind of the simplicity of jobs a couple years ago. And I mentioned in the other video, my 1-year-old's first job was to pick up her own binky when she would drop it. That's her job. That's her problem. Of course, I have a role in it as the parent, certain situations. But in general, this idea sparked in my mind one day because my older daughter, Ellie Jean, has jobs. And so I was like, oh, maybe this is an appropriate first job for a 0 or a 1-year-old. So anyway, I tried it, and it took a few times, and Isla embraced it. It became her first job. And now as we're going, and I'm building, I build age appropriate jobs into the lives of these girls, and it's all trial and error. It's like, I ask one of them to help me unload the dishwasher, the clean dishes. That hasn't really worked out for me. Dishes end up getting dropped. There's on the floor. There's, I have to, check and make sure there's no sharp things in there. Girls are climbing in the dishwasher. It just became too much energy on my part to make sure or help them do the job that I asked them to do. So, things like that are off the list for now, but I'll talk about a couple beautiful things, a few beautiful things about this concept of jobs. A couple things, first, the simplicity is just beautiful. Job is a key word now. It's a key word in their brain that when they hear job, they know it's something that is their responsibility. And so, one of the common ones is dinner job. Ellie Jean, I need you to do your dinner job. So I don't have to explain anything. She knows dinner job means she has to go to the table, grab her plate, grab her cup, grab anything that was hers, bring it over to the kitchen sink. That's her dinner job. It's so easy. It's great for me because I have to say 2 words, or 1 sentence. That I know those are the key words. If she hears that, she knows what to do. And Isla's learning her own dinner job. It's like for a 1-year-old, it's a little bit, she's getting there, but she can't quite reach the counter. She can't quite carry a cup without spilling sometimes. It's very hard for her to grab a plate off a table without, dumping it on the floor. All these are normal for a 1-year-old. And I've kind of given her some chances, and I helped her last night or the night before do her dinner job. But for me as the parent, like, I only ask her to do that when I know I have the energy to kind of supervise and help her when she needs help. Now here's, that just reminded me, here's another very key thing. And this is also beautiful in terms of raising them up with a sense of self and ownership. I mentioned helping. Unless I really need to step in and help, I try to restrain myself, and I also ask, Isla, would you like help with that? Before I help, I always ask Ellie Jean, Isla, and as a parent, it's my responsibility to not have an agenda and not be counting on them to answer one way or another to a large degree. Sometimes I hope they say yes because I really want to help. I'm kind of over the struggle, and if I'm really over the struggle, I'll say, I'm very sorry, Isla, I'm out of energy. I need to help you right now. I'm very sorry, because I know I'm stepping over my boundary because this is their job. And this is ownership. This is life. This is when they're an adult. If they have a job, it's their job. I don't care who you are, where you live, what job, what career you have, what family you're in. I believe in personal responsibility, and certain things are mine to do. Certain things are every person's job to do. There are like God-given, reality ordained jobs for each person. So in a kid, all these children are under me, and so I'm in charge as the parent of kind of dividing up and calling one thing their job. And if I call it their job, I better give it to them as their job. This is good and right. And I believe in the Bible, and in the Bible it outlines what is my job as a man and what is God's job as God. And these are not the same. And sometimes there's cooperation, and other times it's like it is strictly my job, it is strictly God's job. So in parenting, this is so beautiful, because then, like, for example, Isla wanted to sprinkle something out of a shaker, like cinnamon. And I've tried that before. It did not work out. You know, by the nature of things, little girls and little kids are not able to really do a sprinkle here and a sprinkle there. No, they dump. They dump or not dump. It's that binary. So it didn't work out for me. So I've taken that job back. I do not let little kids do the sprinkle jobs. So when Isla asked, Daddy, can I do that? As a 1-year-old, I say, oh, Isla, I'm very sorry. That's a daddy job. She speaks that language. She knows. Oh, okay. Here you go. Daddy job. She speaks that language. She knows when I say daddy job, it's an easy way for me. I don't have to explain. I don't have to, try to I don't have to use any energy whatsoever. It's just simply, I check in with myself and I realize, no, I'm not willing to let a little one do that quickly. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's a daddy job. And she understands immediately. Both her and Ellie Jean both understand. And it doesn't mean that I don't get pushback. Sometimes it's like, oh, daddy, but I want to do it. I'm like, I'm very sorry. Then I go brain dead, which is another technique, I'll outline another video. And in all of this, I've mentioned before, and this is so important as a parent, as a person, I believe in living my own life in and out of parenting. I'm going to say this carefully, because it's very easy to fall on one side or the other of this. Listening to what's going on inside of me and responding appropriately. Doesn't mean I do everything I feel, and it doesn't mean I ignore everything I feel. I'm aware of what I feel, and then I decide what to do accordingly. So I need to know, am I willing to let a little girl do a job or not? And this is a side note, because this is not just, there's no rule. There's no global rule. There's nothing you can think. There's nothing you can think through to inform you here. You have to know. And if you as a parent are okay with a little person sprinkling cinnamon, for example, then by all means, make a decision accordingly and learn from it. And what if there is a 1-year-old who can do a little sprinkle? Well, that's amazing. Great. Let that be a job for the little one. Like, I'm all for that. My little ones could not do it when I tried it. Maybe I'll try again in a month. I don't know. Maybe I won't, but that's just a key in all of this parenting. It's like, if you as a parent, if me as a parent, if I'm not aware of my own, internal heart, my own internal attitudes, my thoughts, this will not work. This is not a mental exercise. This is a life exercise. It includes some mental, and it's also, it can't be done without the other ingredient of the parent's heart. Back to jobs. Okay, so the beauty is the simplicity. It requires a parent to kind of be, willing or not willing to try something with the little one. It provides an easy way out if a little one asks to do something and the parent's not comfortable. The language is already there. And then, I suppose I will end on the note of just the beauty of, as as the child progresses and learns what jobs are theirs. I also talked about not helping. If a child says no, I don't want help, I do not help the child unless that exception that I mentioned earlier. This is extremely important. I do not want to violate the dignity of the child in any way, shape, or form. And if I have to, you know, I you know I'm I, unless I stumble, I treat it as such. I violated their dignity, and I'm very sorry to do this. I do not want to do that. That if I make it a habit of that, my child is going to grow up thinking it's normal to have their dignity violated, and that is not a right way for a person to. That's not reality. That's not what reality should be. Like, reality is each person has dignity. They should not be encroached upon unless they give permission. This is a good thing. This is how I want it to be with my girls, as I'm in control as their parent. Okay, so then the last thing is just like the kind of the progression of things. How I've witnessed these things play out is just so beautiful. It's like, of course, my 1-year-old, she only has a couple jobs. Trash job is a big one, and she's done a really good job. You know, I don't know if you've ever had this experience. If you're a parent, you're watching this, your child hands you trash. Here you go. Like, first of all, yes, a child should try to do this. This is good. This is normal. It's like, if I'm a child, what's the easiest way to get rid of trash? Well, 2 ways. 1, drop it on the floor. 2, hand it to my parent who takes care of me. Like, I don't want this. Here you go. Yes, like, from the child perspective, this is the right thing to do. Try it. See if it works out for me. Like, they're not thinking this, obviously, but I love the science of a child. That children are scientists. And I want parents to be scientists. Children are always trying new tactics. Parents always try new tactics. That's what I do. Anyway. So yes, I love it. Taking a step back, I love it that they try to, they're smart. They want to do the easiest thing. They should. This is life. That's what I do. I want to do the easiest thing. I want life to be easy in the ways it should be easy. So anyway, or it can be easy. Now, on the same token, me as a parent, speaking of dignity, I have dignity. I am not a trash can. I do not. So if a child, wants to hand me trash, I say, I'm very sorry. I do not want that. I'm pretty direct sometimes with them, and I'm always watching them to see if they can handle my directness. But yeah, I'm sorry. I do not want this. And it's like, oh, and she did try it. She, like, I can't remember. It's been a long time. She tried. Okay. And she just dropped it on the floor. I think if she did that, I would say, Isla, I'm very sorry. That is not an option. You cannot just drop your trash on the floor. Do you have any other ideas? Is kind of what I would say, and just see what happens there. See if that's enough for her to get it. And if it is, great. Then, if it's enough for her to get it, she'll pick up her trash and she'll try to figure I don't know what she'll do. I can't predict kids, but where Isla is at now, it's been iteration after iteration of this, and she now knows trash job. I added that to her list of jobs after the Binky job. Trash job means, hey, figure out what to do with your trash. And she has become, as a 1-year-old, even before she could even talk, she was able to spot trash cans, point at them, and be like, oh, okay, Isla, sure. If it's a trash can, again, here's where internal, awareness is so important for the parent. She'd see a trash can, it's 50 feet out of my way. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Isla, I ain't going by that trash can. Again, I'm pretty direct with them. I ain't going by that trash can. Please find a new one. Okay. For kids, this is all good. And then, with that interaction, my heart is rejoicing because this is great, man. Like, Isla, great job finding a trash can. And then me, there's nobody around to say good job, but my heart testifies, like, great job, not being willing to do something you're not willing to. And if I am willing to walk 50 feet out of my way, if that's you, then do it. Great. There is absolutely not a right, wrong, mental exercise that can answer these situations. This is where I get to be creative. I get to say yes or no. I can do whatever I want as a parent. and try it and see if it works. And if it works, great. If it doesn't. But anyway, and so now these days Isla's older, she can walk, she can talk more. It's like and this is back to my point that as things are progressing, she has more jobs, and now they're automatic. It's like I don't even have to tell her to do her trash job. You know, we're at church, she finishes her snack, she will slide off on my lap. I'll realize she has trash in her hand. I'll kind of look to make sure, because I, you know, as a parent, I'm aware of, you know, I need to be aware of what, you know, what is, what's she trying to do, if she's going to slide off on my lap and go do something. And I don't say a word. I'm just watching her. I'm watching her. She walks all the way across the room, weaves in and out of the adults. You know, this is a 1-year-old and 1.5-year-old toddler. Weaves in and out of the adults, all the way to the trash can, reaches up as high as she can reach, barely gets it in, you know, weaves her way back over to her daddy and hops back up in daddy's lap. And this is just, you know, my heart is rejoicing. What a beautiful thing for a girl to be able to do something like this. And it's just going to build from there. And same with Ellie Jean. I'm adding job after job. When I realize the jobs that used to be hard for her are now easy and she's doing them automatically, it's like, great. What else can I do? Like, what can I give to her as her job? You know, things that I think are appropriate, I think she can do. Even things that I think will test her. I mentioned this in the other video. I don't mind testing these girls, and I actually ask them to do something I don't think they can do. And I learn if I'm right or wrong about this. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. And it's like, if I'm wrong, great, she can do something I didn't think she could do. You know, and the opposite is true also. Sometimes I ask her to do things I think are going to be easy, and they are not easy for her. And it's like, huh, that was weird. That was, you know, that was unusual. I did not expect that. Maybe I'll try again, like, you know, and if I get the same result, it's like, okay, well, I was wrong about that. I thought it'd be easy. It's not. I'll wait on that, or maybe I'll just, I don't know then I decide what to do about it. You know, I don't need to think about that if I don't need to think about it. So anyway, and you know, my girls are 1 and 5. I plan to keep adding jobs and things like this. You know, they have toy jobs, they have dinner jobs, they have, you know, breakfast jobs if they need to put their breakfast dishes away, trash jobs, dirty clothes job, cleanup job, what else? I don't know. And if I need Isla to throw away her diaper, I say, Isla, can you do your diaper job? You know, and she knows what to do. It's just so beautiful. Oh man, I just love it. So anyway, that's the concept of jobs. I'm sure I could go on. You know, let me know in the comment if you have in the comment section if you have a comment, question, thought. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.